Hey everybody, it is Monday, September 16th, 2013. I'm Wes Hagen. I'm the vineyard manager and winemaker here for Clos Pepe Vineyards and Clos Pepe Estate Wines. And we are about to get busy. So it looks like we're going to probably start harvest tomorrow night. I'm waiting for some more grapes to come in from some field samples to determine whether or not the exact section of the vineyard that we want to harvest tomorrow for wine, which is our south-facing hillsides of 115 Clone on the far east side of the property. It's a warm section of the vineyard. It absorbs a lot of sunshine during the morning, afternoon, and the evening. So we're thinking the south side is actually probably a little bit riper than the north side, which is a little bit shadier and a little bit protected from the sun on the north side. So the south side we're thinking is probably somewhere between 24 and 24.5 bricks. I'm expecting to see pH numbers somewhere between 3.2 and 3.3. Hopefully closer to 3.3, which would make me a lot more comfortable. Although we are seeing these odd pH shifts this year. A lot of winemakers are talking about seeing pHs of above 3.3 going to as high as 3.5 after primary fermentation. So we want to pay special attention so we can bring our first grapes in with a good deal of acidity. So that'll also function as the backbone, the structure, and the acidity of much of the wine that we're making this vintage. So what I have here is a juice sample of 115 from a lower section down by our pond, kind of between the pond and the lower swale area. And this section is generally one of the last sections we pick. So I picked some juice this morning that would show a little bit of less than ripe character to show you what process I would go through to determine that this juice, this section, this 10 pounds of random clusters that we sampled from this section, this is from Loring Wine Company and Siduri Wine Company Pinot Noir. It's normally harvested in early October. So I'm going to ask myself a fundamental question to help you learn a little something about winemaking. What is keeping this juice from making wine right away? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this, which is a electronic refractometer that's made in Japan by a company called Atago, and it's a great little device. I just put water on it and zeroed it out so it knows what the refractivity of water looks like. And now when I put some juice on it, first thing I'll do is I'll dip my finger in the juice and make sure that my finger's dipped in a few times. Put a little bit of juice here. Then I'm going to actually clean that juice off. So now it's been primed with the juice. So if there's any fluid on there, it's now been replaced by the juice I'm using. Then you can see I've put a little bit of juice right here. I'm going to see, you can kind of see right there, there's a little tiny bit of juice. I'm going to actually push this button, and I'll show you once I'm done because I don't want to spill it. It says 22.9. I can suck that off, and hopefully you can still see right there somewhere that it's 22.9 bricks. Now 22.9 bricks will make about 13 to 13.5% alcohol wine using a conversion factor of about 0.55. 22.9 times 0.55. Yeah, you're looking at, sometimes it can be 0.55 to 0.6. So I normally use 0.6 as sort of the, maybe 13 and about, I would guess it would make about a 13 to 13.5% alcohol wine. The pH on this specific sample was 3.22, which is appropriate for a very structured Chablis. Quite a bit of acidity for a red wine, although we are expecting that pH to sort of rise and the acidity to drop during primary fermentation. So now, one thing that I really like to do with juice that I don't know a lot of other winemakers that do, I don't do a lot of tasting notes on final wine that use references like blackberry, blueberry, strawberry. Once in a while they go into my tasting notes, but when I take tasting notes on wines, I tend to make them much more sort of based on the structure of the wine, much more about the acidity and the balance of a wine. But when I taste juice, it's really important for me to figure out which references of other fruits besides grapes that I smell. And I smell a little apple, I smell perhaps a little kiwi, strawberry, watermelon, maybe a tiny bit of strawberry. So all of these fruits kind of give me an idea. When I look back at my notes from the last 12, 13 years of winemaking, I've always taken notes on the fruits I smell in wine. So I can actually correlate what aromas and references I smell and esters that I smell in this juice and look stylistically where it falls in the pattern of the wines I've made in the past. So even though I don't really think that reference tasting and reference notes really help anyone, the difference between Bing cherry and black cherry, I don't really think it's going to dictate whether you like a wine or not like a wine. But I do think it's important smelling and talking about references in the juice and correlating how it ends up as representing itself in the final wine. So it's rather broad, savory, tasty, sweet, not quite candy sweet, and the acidity still sticks out. The acidity is still quite strong and has a slight aspirin-y character to it. Now, that aspirin-y acidity, that really, really bright, grippy acidity is perfect for sparkling wine, but I really do think it needs to settle down and lose a little of acidity before this can make a really palatable red wine. So we're going to be patient. We're going to let this roll for a little bit longer, and it looks like Jason's pulling up with our next samples. So I'm going to do our final samples and see exactly how busy we're going to be in the next few weeks. But seeing 23s, I'm expecting to see maybe even some 24s this week. We're just about ready to rock and roll. So next Monday, I'll give you another update. Hope you guys have an awesome week. Don't forget to drink lots of Pinot Noir, because we're going to be making lots of Pinot Noir this year for you to drink in previous years. So empty your cellars. Drink as much wine as you can, and we will make you guys some more. So have a great week, and come and visit us up in the Santa Rita Hills. Cheers.